Happy Sunday, AfterBuzzers. Makeup, wigs, and hormones. Oh my. We're talking Cindy and Troy. Don't go anywhere.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Had to do this.
That's a good song. That's a good song.
We definitely need a resolution up in here today. We're talking Lost in Transition from TLC, and we know the season is over, but we decided to break up this after show into we're going to talk about each couple. So tonight we're talking about Cindy and Troy, or Cindy and Lucy, if we will. So I'm your host, Jaimi Alexander, and to my left.
Hi guys, I'm Laura L. Thomas.
And hello, I'm Ashley Lauren.
So we are all here to talk Cindy and Troy. So first of all, before we start going into the nuances of their relationship, what did you guys think about them as a whole, as a couple?
Oh, I really liked them. I liked them as a couple. You can tell that there's a lot of love there. You can tell that they really care about each other. I also felt like they were doomed from the beginning. They were kind of the couple that I kind of saw the writing on the wall from the from the first episode. And they were really trying so hard. You could tell the effort was there to keep that relationship together, which was kind of heartbreaking to watch. So I was rooting for them, but rooting for them and almost to break up. I think I was rooting for them to break up throughout the whole season. So that was my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think that in so many ways they have a relationship that I'm like, oh, that's what I want. Like, so many really good things are there. But obviously, there's been some bumps in the road here. But interesting seeing, though, how since they're both two very strong individuals, that seems to have maybe made this transition a little bit rockier than, say, Stacy and Leslie. Where I think that one was a little more submissive, whereas this time they're both like, what? What? Not as much melting. So,
Gosh, yeah, I would have to agree with you, and I think I'm with you. It just kind of made me feel like they were almost doomed from the beginning. I could see Cindy's personality. She's so lit. She's fun and popping, and she wants to live her best life. Like, she's definitely nobody that you're about to tell what to do. She carries that energy. When he met her, she was like, oh, this is my song. Like, yes. She's just been a firecracker since day one. So, like you said, to try to meet that fire with some more fire, no. And that's kind of what we got through the whole season from them.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I mean, I think that they were, as a couple, again, like, you can tell that there's a lot of compassion for each other, but at the same time, friendship doesn't I don't know. That's not enough to hold that relationship. No. I think together. I think they both wanted more, just under different circumstances, and I can't say that I blame Cindy for holding down her morals. So,
yeah, I would have to agree there. So, What's interesting about them is they met so much later in life. Like, they're super grown. I believe Cindy was 69, if I'm not mistaken.
She said that she's like, I'm not a lesbian, but I am a cougar.
Yeah, exactly.
She is when she isn't.
Right. And Troy was 15 years younger. So, sometimes even I don't know if I want to say that, but sometimes dealing with men, they can be a little bit more mature than women sometimes, just overall. That's just my opinion, a little side note. But
men can be more mature than women?
Immature.
I was going to say.
Immature.
I was like, I'm assuming you probably meant this. I was going to go with it, because there wasn't even an ounce of me that was like, oh, you mean that? Because like,
yeah, no, just a little more immature.
We're going to have a whole new show, girl.
A little bit more immature. So I could just imagine, like, if, dating somebody 15 years younger, not that it's terrible, it's just kind of like, okay, we've got that. Also, like you said, the friendship, but I don't know if that's enough. Their friendship is something that I very much desire in a relationship. I could only hope to be kicking it like they did. They were so buddy-buddy. They laughed so much. The dog, the house, the hanging out, the inside jokes. They just had everything that you think you want.
Didn't they say somewhere I heard something along the lines of like relationship is like a friendship on fire or something like that. So they definitely have that friendship down. They got that down great. But that was one of Cindy's whole things was like, she needs to get laid. And she
Well, they have the
adamant
friendship
about
down
that.
as
She
Cindy
was
and
like,
Troy. As Cindy and Troy, they're like they have
She's
great like the friendship is there
Yeah.
clearly. It's just that's not going to be enough when it becomes Cindy and Lucy.
Absolutely, especially she was talking to her in her Wiener Man song. So I think, well, no, I shouldn't. Say,
but also-
we're all into it. Yeah.
she was funny, but also, because she's her friend Wanda. What's her name? Wanda.
Yeah, I
so
believe- yes.
She's like, I already had a best friend that's a girl. I'm like, I don't need another one.
Right, absolutely. And so she was talking about how, actually Troy brought it up, which I went in and out with Troy. Sometimes I was really happy about his loving responses, and sometimes I was like, Troy, you better give her a minute to like pull this together. But one thing that I loved about his openness was he blurted it out one day, and he was really able to see the hurt and the pain and the loss on her face. So not that it made him want to retract his statement, but at the same time it gave him an overwhelming compassion for her, and he kind of knew it was like almost like, oh, oops, I kind of just.
I think that he or she, depending on where we're talking relationship-wise, was the only one of the husbands, spouses. See, it's really sometimes it's so hard because you don't want to offend anybody, but you're like, I'm just trying to get the basics out here.
Yeah,
We didn't see that. We didn't see that much of that empathy and compassion from the transitioning female and other couples, as I think we did here.
Well, because I think a point of that is because Troy was still making the decision if he was going to transition, whereas the other couples had decided that they were literally in the process of transitioning. Where I think Troy was at the beginning of this journey, and they were
taking hormones or anything.
Yeah, they had taken. I mean, they were having a really hard time getting past that first hurdle, and the first hurdle being, can I transition and keep this relationship? And so I think that was the big struggle between the two of them, because there was Troy who was wanting to transition to Lucy, knowing that if he did that, if he made that choice, then he would lose Cindy. And he didn't want to lose Cindy. So it was, do I deny myself and do I not deny what I want, what I feel innately as a person, and transition to this other form of expression that I truly identified with, or do I keep this person who I love so deeply in my life? And ultimately, we saw at the very end, as Cindy meets Lucy for the first time, which we'll talk about later. But I don't even know that he puts on the garb and he says that it feels amazing, and that's kind of what he wants to live his life as. But it costed Cindy, and that's sort of where we see them ending the season. And so I think that's the major difference between this couple and the other couples, is that this couple was really struggling with just getting the process of the transition going.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And to be honest, when I was watching, I didn't think Troy was going to transition. He seemed so on the fence, not only for Cindy, but I like the way you talk about how much has been repressed in him for a long time, and him having the option to now choose to express himself differently. Because I feel like the anger and what he took out on Cindy, because there were moments he would say things to her, and I'm like, dude, you have to understand she's transitioning with you. But I think that repressedness that he had been holding on to kind of just came out in anger, because there was times where he was like, well, what have I done to you? Why are you so mad? And it's kind of like, well, because, I started dating a man, and that's what I love, and that's what I'm attracted to, along with the penis and the sex and everything that you got going on. And you're telling me you want to take that away. Yeah. So, yeah, I really...
I know, it's...
Yeah.
You're like, how do you not understand why she would be upset by that?
Right. And not be on top of it even a little bit more sensitive. Like, I'm angry because I see you walking out the door. Like, you are fading away before my eyes. The moment it came out of his mouth, it was over for them, realistically. And I feel, that's why watching them kind of felt like this long breakup.
Yeah, it really did. And I wonder how, my question or my concern throughout the whole process is, once you learn this about your partner, are you ever able to go back? Like, once you have this confession, even if you decide not to transition, even if you're someone that says, I've always had this desire, I feel like I was born in the wrong body, I feel like I want to express, I've always wanted to be a girl, is what he said to her. Once you know that, and once you've had that conversation with your significant other, can you ever go back, even if there is no physical transition that takes place?
Yeah, it would be probably a no for me. Only because one thing that Cindy said that was so poignant was, I don't want him to stay, something to the likes of, I don't want him to stay Troy for me. If he wants to be Lucy, then I don't want to be the one to hold him back. So I would never want to be with someone that has all this repressed things and wanted to be that way, and then look at it, oh, but I can't, because then I don't want that energy.
Yeah, you just want a relationship that's going to be built on love and respect, and both people wanting to be there, not, you're going to end up having anger, and you're going to feel the other person just let you down, and just all around just a really difficult situation. But I will say that I think that Cindy, though, she handled it differently than some of the other spouses did, but that's what it was, that we saw them at the beginning of it. We have no idea how this process began with the other couples.
Right.
So I wonder if there was the same amount of empathy and I feel this way, but I see how you would feel this way if we saw that in the other couples. We just saw when they were already starting.
Right. I definitely agree. I guess I feel like maybe Jennifer and Lauren kind of gave me a little bit of that beginningness, where we got a little bit of being able to hear how the transition was going and some of the decisions being made. But I agree, this one seemed like the almost out of nowhere, what do you mean hit by a ton of bricks? And, back to what you were saying about love and respect, I think that for Cindy, because we can be selfish when it comes to love. We could be selfish and be like, no, I don't want you to change. I'm having fun. I love you, and I'm not going to be doing that. So, but for her to even say, I'd rather let you go and be who you want to be, as opposed to being with me and miserable, I think that alone takes a certain level of love and respect.
I think it's a lose-lose for Cindy.
Big time.
When that's where it's obviously for Lucy, there's a big, giant, huge, blessing. It's life that she finally wants to get, she'll be able to have, but at a gigantic cost.
Gigantic. Especially there's so much older now, and not to say you can't find love at 70, but who wants to do that?
Geez, hard enough.
That's the thing. I mean,
I
think the fact that I don't believe they had children together.
I don't think so.
I don't believe they have children together, and
their dog. Brandy.
They have a dog, which I mean is hard enough. Let's be honest. If I have to break up with somebody and somebody gets my dog, I will fight you for that. But so I don't believe they have children together, and they're older. They're not in their. I mean, her friend even said it when at the barbecue at the confrontation with Troy. She said, we're seniors. We don't have that much life left. We don't want to spend it trying to go out and get another date or find that or find companionship or find friendship. I mean, it's just that's not at the end of the day how I want to spend my golden years. You kind of want to spend it with the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But when this person drops this huge bomb in your lap that changes everything. I mean, I think I was on team Cindy the entire time. I really, as much as I understood Troy and as much as I understood his desire to transition, I really was, my heart was breaking for Cindy, start to finish.
Every moment.
I think it's as much as all of us, we want everybody to live their authentic life, be whatever that, whatever that may look like, do it. Go love it. If you like it, I love it. But once you start negatively affecting somebody else's life, then it's that's where it becomes an issue. And
and I think the reason why I had such an issue, because I'm team Cindy also, and although I think equally as finding a loving partner, no matter how late in life, I know it had to be such a relief for Troy to finally be who she wanted to be, which is, it is equally important. However, I'm on the team Cindy only because I think we kind of spoke about this last week. Troy knew at a very young age that this is what he wanted. Yeah. So I would also hope to have the kind of love where we could be transparent 100% when we're getting to know each other, because I'm pretty sure 15 years ago, Cindy would have loved to make the choice. Yeah. Because what if there was somebody else out there for her while she was still being sassy and living her best life and out and dancing? She met him. So I can only think of who else she might have been able to meet. Should she have been able to make a decision like this up front? And that's what makes it so hard and so frustrating, because it's lying.
It is, but then of course I have immense amounts of empathy for the individual who's transitioning, because sometimes I feel like it's hard enough just to be me, and I don't have any, I'm not doing anything that really should require me fighting for it, and it's just hard enough just to exist. So if you to try and come out with your authentic, true self when you know that you're going to get people that aren't necessarily supportive I can't even begin to imagine how difficult and how painful that must be. So that's where it's really
There's
it's
that.
back and forth, and you're like, I just want the best for everybody, but it's so hard. And that's why I guess hopefully with conversations and shows like this, it'll start making it where it doesn't have to be this something that's so repressed and then brought out years and years later when there needs to be a lot of damage control done, something that can just be handled just in the moment that it is, okay, and we accept it and we move on and we do what we need to do.
Or we don't accept it. I mean, here's the thing, like that's the thing with, I'm not saying we as a society, but I'm saying we as Cindy in this moment, like I think she accepted the fact that Troy felt this way, and wanted to do this, but I don't think she accepted it for her in her life.
Oh no.
And I think that's something that we have to point out too, that yes, like I think that everybody, being able to have the freedom of expression and saying who and what they feel like that's great. They have to know that ultimately that could affect someone else's life, and that someone else could choose not to have that person in their life be for a specific reason. I don't know. I know it's like, I'm just a little torn on the whole thing about just being like, it's all okay and everybody's fine and everybody's okay and you should just accept it and move on and whatever, because because truly it's affecting someone's life, like. And if you have lived this giant lie, I know it's hard to come out, and I know it's all of that. But don't drag somebody else into your life and also sabotage their chance at happiness. I guess I agree with you.
That's what I meant though, is like deal with it when someone comes out at 12 and you're like, hey, and you're like, oh, let's deal with it now. Not like, oh, shame, push it back down.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And I know that that's what you were saying. I think that's not, obviously, like, that's not the conversation that we're having now with Cindy and Troy, like with them, they have a real crisis on their hands, and I think it's okay for Cindy to come to say, I don't accept this in the terms of, I'm not a lesbian. I don't want to stay in a lesbian relationship. I'm attracted to a man. I want to stay with a man. I need sexual pleasure from a man. You can transition and that's fine, but I don't accept that as now you are my life partner and you've decided to transition, and that's A-okay with me. I stand by her saying that that's okay for her. And I know that a lot of the spouses did not make that choice. We saw Stacy and Les last week. Stacy decided to kind of die to her heterosexual self and become a homosexual in this relationship. And that was the choice that she made. And I think it's a brave choice and a bold choice, but I also don't think that Cindy's choice is wrong. I think that Cindy is speaking her authentic truth and living the life that she wants to live. And the fact that she fought this transition, I can't say that I blame her. I think I would probably feel the same way. So got a little heated there for a second. I'm just got a little passionate. I'm sorry, but that's just like,
bring the heat.
I just don't want to like put this idea out there that like, that's. I don't want to discredit the fact that this woman's life wasn't just ripped apart from head to toe.
Absolutely. That's why I loved you using the word crisis.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely a crisis. I would die.
Oh.
If that was me, like, first of all, I'm nowhere near like my 50s, 60s, or any. It's hard, it's hard enough to find love as it is. If I find someone I vibe with that much and 13 years later we're still rocking and in it, I would be absolutely beyond devastated, because my choice is man. Like, there's no way I would be able to go through that. I'm not being with a woman. I don't want a woman. If you're going to do hormones and lose your parts, there's nothing there for me.
Yeah. And wear makeup and wear a wig and like all of the, even the external stuff. Like, that's just not my, I think I'm the only one that's married on the panel.
Yes.
So I think I'm speaking from like the married woman's, I've been with my husband for almost 10 years, and like if he were to come to me 3 years from now and tell me that this is what he feels and this is what he wants and goes through the list of his reasons why, I would be devastated. And I don't know that I could, I don't know, I mean, and I made a vow. Do you know what I mean? Like I would be so devastated that I would feel robbed. I would feel cheated. I would feel betrayed. I would feel hurt. I think, and a lot of these, and so again, I also don't want to discredit the journey that Troy has to go through, and I guess we'll talk about that as well. But since we're on Cindy, we're going to stay on Cindy.
Yes.
I just don't know that I could flip a switch like that and then all of a sudden change my sexual orientation because my partner decided to change his sexual identity
On you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's okay that Cindy made the choice that she says, this is you, that's great. I just can't live with it in the capacity that you're asking me to. And it may be too hard to maintain a friendship. Do you know what I mean? Like ripping the Band-Aid off might be the best thing for them. But and that's where I kind of got frustrated with Troy throughout the season as well, because I think he never understood why Cindy was feeling this way. He was like, I don't understand why I can't live as Lucy and we can't stay together. I'm like, well, you can't have your cake and eat it too, buddy.
Right.
You know, you're blowing her life up.
Yeah. Yeah, that part frustrated me. There was times at the barbecue or when they were going back and forth and he was just saying, see, this is why trans people don't come forward. And I'm like, ooh, that's unfair.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so unfair. Like, please stop talking, Troy. Just stop talking because that's not what she's saying. She's not saying, don't be you. Yeah. But
she's not judging him as in relation to her. Like,
yes,
you're doing this and that's bothering me and that's where I have a problem. And I know
I never felt like she was asking him not to transition.
Never.
I think he was the one that was struggling with the decision. I don't think it was ever on Cindy saying, I don't want you to do this. I think she wanted it to never have happened.
Yeah.
I think she was struggling with like, okay, is there a world where you transition to Lucy and we remain some sort of a something? I just don't think she ever saw that even in the realm of possibility for her.
Yeah, she didn't, but she tried because there were moments, we got all the way almost to the end of the season. I think there were 9 episodes. And all the way up until episode 6, she was still trying, like, I wonder if there's a way. And because they had broken up. They had separated for a minute. Like, she was fed up. I can't do this. He wasn't understanding. They separated and missed each other so much. When he came back, she was just like, can I do this? What parts can I do? And I have to agree. There was a point where she was confused. I was confused with Troy. I wasn't sure if he was going to transition all the way. It was almost like he was giving out bits and pieces. Yeah. I don't think was ever real clear, like, I want the hormones, I want to dress this every day.
He had a toe in the water.
Yeah, he was doing this little dance a little bit. I was even confused. So I know Cindy was confused because after the break when she was like, well, let me see how much of this I can tolerate. Then she was like, wait a minute, you want to do the whole 9? Like, come on, we didn't talk about this. And then Troy got mad again. Yeah. So it was just very heart-wrenching.
Well, and every time that Troy would make a decision, like the decision not to take the hormones, I think it was, she was like, if he takes the hormones today, it's done. Like, it's over. And that was her standard. That was the line in the sand that she drew. And he would make the decision and then he would turn around and blame it on her. And I didn't think that was fair either, because I don't know that she ever did that to him. She never really, I think she was willing to, like, if he had said, look, I just had this desire or this urge, I love you, I'm committed to this relationship, I will live out my life as Troy, and we can do this. I mean, clearly they have a great sex life together. There's the attraction there. There's that chemistry. There's that friendship that we've talked about. I think that she would have forged on with that. Even, like, that's why I asked the question of, like, can you go back? Like, would you be able to go back? Because I think for her, she would stay on the path that she was on, and she'd be like, we're good, like, this is the life that we live. Maybe check in with it every once in a while, and now that I know this new part about you. But yeah, I think his toe was just kind of in and out of that pool.
It was
too much.
A lot, because then he was like, but I like the sex, and now we're talking about hormones again. And then it was like, I think Cindy almost also would have been okay, even if he wanted to do one day a week. Like, maybe I don't want to see it. I'm not going out with you.
Right.
But I know Saturday nights are your night. Saturday's your day to Lucy your life away and come back to me. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah. But I feel like even that would have been more of a compromise. Like, we'll keep the sex, but I want you to feel beautiful. Yeah. When you dress as Lucy, like, because he lit up. Mm-hmm. When he had his little wig going, his face, her face, you could just see him light up to be Lucy. And I even felt bad for a moment when he was just like, I would I would have looked so much hotter when I was 18 type of a deal. Like, okay, because when you put makeup on, you know, we know because we're doing it, but you know, you're seeing a little more of the wrinkles, and women, we have a whole other kind of regimen.
He's like, okay, lose some pounds and this will go away, and like, because he already was like, woman insecurity. All right, go.
Yeah. Maybe with a little contouring, he would have been fine. But
I wonder though what the support system is that Troy has, like outside of Cindy and Troy. Mm-hmm. Who is it that he is talking to? Who is it that he's getting his information from? Besides, we know that he meets, I forget the woman's name, but the one who kind of gives him the makeover. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I wonder if he has a community, or if he has any friends that are helping him. Because I imagine that must be alone. It's like so difficult to navigate, not knowing where to turn, who to turn to, and who you even can say anything to. So you keep it bottled up, and then you finally tell your partner, and then this happens. But.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a hard conversation, because especially if you're unsure of the desire to transition, that would be something I think that would be scary to share with too many people.
Right. Especially being on the fence. Because, go back to that club night where he went out, he felt super uncomfortable. So you're right, I wonder who his community is, who his friends are, who are the girls in his corner, like, you look great, girl, and who are the ones that, you know, how does the support system for him work outside of Cindy? Because she had her friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And community is so important regardless of anything, especially if you're going through something like this. So I was wondering that if he did have anybody to talk to, because
yeah, I guess the one thing that I will say about Troy is that I wish he was more confident. I wish that he had made his decision and been more confident in it. And I guess that just takes time, and it takes exposure, and it takes conversation and community, and accept, you know, all of those things. But I was equally as sad to watch him in his journey as I was Cindy at times, because I thought, wow, he's just like a little boy that, like, he'll run out he's like a groundhog. Like, he'll run out for a little bit, he sees his shadow, and he runs back in. And I wish that he had just been able to find that confidence, either as Troy or as Lucy.
Yeah, I have to agree there. And that's probably why the toe in the water, that it didn't look as definite. I was even confused, and I don't even know her personally. But what I did hear, and what I'm hearing a lot with these stories, is that their childhood has so much to do with it. All that repression, you know, he was saying things like, he always grew up, don't walk that way, don't wear that color, don't say that like that, stop looking like that. So when that alone is an immense amount of pressure. Like, am I doing it right? Do I look good? Is this okay? Oh, I don't want to say that. I don't want. So I can only imagine, how could you come out and be like, I'm Lucy, like, yet? Like, how, when you haven't really been living that as Troy, as a child, as a man in the world, as a woman in the world, as a partner. You've had that repression since day one, which is also why maybe it took so long for him to come out and just say, I want to dress like a woman, be a woman, I feel like a woman on the inside.
Yeah. That's what I think is so important, if you have, like, with children, that, like, mental health should be just as necessary as when you go and get your physical checkup. Just kind of, like, check up how things are, how you doing, like, so then it doesn't become something that is so repressed. And I know, I'm just like a broken record at this point, but that's the thing. It's so upsetting, because you want to think that this could have been avoided, but it would have had to been way back when. And I think, you know, we're advancing as a society where this is becoming more like, okay, like, not something that you have to keep repressed. But I think that's probably not true in a lot of the country. I'm sure it's still very much like, don't do that, don't dress it, don't say that. Still very much that. This is still an ongoing story for many, many people. For sure.
I have to agree. Our country, our society, media, is always subtly telling us what to be and what not to be. And like you said, if you're not nurturing children and mental health, and like these are important conversations to have, especially now. We have more access than we've ever had to like get the message out and do things like that. But we're always having good conversations here on AfterBuzz. So you want to share with us?
Yeah, so hey, AfterBuzzers. Here at the network, we produce after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But now we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. Besides helping us a ton, here's what's in it for you. It caters to specific content you already... Let me do that again. Reverse. It caters specific content you already like directly to you. Brings you your favorite after shows so you don't have to seek them out. Suggests content from other channels or podcasts that might interest you. Subscribing to our YouTube channels will also help you discover new shows we're sure you'll love. Since you're already tuned in to... Oh, read us on the reality TV. Reality TV channel. Ooh. You might be interested in, well, let's see, what are your favorite reality TV shows?
Well, you can do Below Deck Med on Tuesday nights, which I also host on Bravo.
Oh, boom.
Oh, that's
I
fun.
like a little growing up hip hop. I do watch that. It's reality.
Yes. I'm on the panel for 7 Year Switch, so that's on Wednesdays. What shows on Tuesdays? Our show's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, a few of those. And remember, we have channels for other genres too, not just reality TV. So please don't be shy about subscribing. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because those are optional. It's easy, so hit that subscribe button now for an even easier AfterBuzz experience. And if you let us know you did in the comments, we'll thank you on air. And thanks for being the best fans. We promise to continue to do our best to serve you.
Whoop, whoop, and we mean it. So before we jump into our special segment about being found in transition, what did you guys think about the actual meeting when Cindy actually met Lucy for the first time?
Oh.
Hi.
I mean, I wonder who was more nervous. I wonder who's more nervous.
Gosh.
Good point.
So either way, it was like, can you imagine being like the wait staff there? They're like, oh my, do you need more water? No, I'm just gonna not even go over there. No one's touching their water.
I cannot imagine being in Cindy's shoes. I cannot imagine at that. I mean, I think at this point, she's probably dreamed up in her head what it could possibly look like, and it's never, it never is quite what
Nothing
it looks like in your
prepares you
head.
for the actual moment.
Yeah, I think it's like you can kind of dream up like what you think it might be, but then to actually face it head on, I was like, oh, and then I just thought, I saw them meet for the first time, Lucy and Cindy, and it was like the ripping off of the Band-Aid.
Yes.
You know, it just felt like I think they even said it, like, this feels like closure. This feels like the closing of a chapter. And that's what it felt like watching it. Because I was like, Lucy came in so proud.
Yeah.
So just proud of how she looked. And she looked beautiful.
Absolutely.
I mean, the wig was good. The hair was, the makeup was good. She looked really beautiful. But it's got to be so jarring seeing the man that you love for the past 13 years walk in as a woman.
Because you wonder if you're even able to take it seriously, or if in some ways you're like, are you kidding me?
Right.
You know? I don't know, because I've never had to deal with that.
Yeah.
But as much as I would like to think, I would be just, I understand. I guaranteed it wouldn't be that easy.
I think she did a really great job, though. I mean, in handling, Cindy did a really great job in handling the situation.
Because she said at some point something in regards to, we have to remember to treat our partners with a gentle kindness. Mm-hmm. That's why I was like, oh, she showed how sweet and caring she is in that moment.
I mean, you could tell that the love was there. It was almost one of those things like, I love you enough to let you go situation. I think she got there. I think seeing him transition to Lucy in that moment, I think that was kind of that moment that she needed, where she was like, I love you enough to let you go and live this life that you're clearly so drawn to and passionate about. And I think that's where I felt like I wish Troy would have the same kind of love to let her go as well.
Yeah, I would have to agree, because he even said, this definitely felt like a moment of closure, but he even said, we've talked about it, but it wasn't something that really hit me until it was being done. You know, he also stated that if she wanted to turn into a man, he's not with it. Like he you know, so there has to be a heightened level of understanding for the partner. I know if it was me, I probably would have broke down. I mean, maybe she had, like you said, closure. So maybe she already had her breakdown moments because they broke up the whole season.
Yeah.
They spent the season breaking up because there was just no way after it came out of his mouth, Cindy was down with it, even if she didn't know she wasn't down with it.
Yeah.
She didn't want to lose her friend. But I think, she probably realized that Troy no more, as Lucy walked in, full makeup, hair, yes, beautiful as ever, which I'm so glad she got to experience, but it's just like, oh no, this is done, honey. I'm not doing this.
And that's what she said. She said, you know, she looked beautiful, and I'm glad that she had the opportunity to look beautiful.
Because it was really sad seeing Cindy before, kind of trying to realize, well, maybe I could, because she missed her husband, so she wanted to have Troy back. So then she's trying to think, well, what could I deal with? And you kind of see her expectations lowering and everything. So it was great when you see her finally get to that moment. Exactly, it was for sure closure. But
she actually referred to it as the death.
Yeah.
Which,
it's
rightfully
fair.
so. That's, you know, we go through death and rebirth, you know, all the time in life, whether we're
I think
closing.
each of the couples at some point said something that they're mourning their husband.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it's a grieving process, I think, for these women in so many ways. Like you mourn the relationship that you've lost, you mourn the man that you've lost. I think it's a huge grieving process, and I think, you know, knowing the 5 stages of grief. Oh gosh, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Are like the 5 stages of grief that you have to go through a process like this. And I think that we saw a lot of the women in this show go through every single one of those.
Absolutely.
When you see how certain of the wives came to the acceptance, you wonder if it was because they truly are like, well, actually, you know, I'm okay with that, or if it was because they're like, well, I don't want to get a divorce, I don't want to start over, I don't want to have to move, I don't want to have to, you know, and that's that clinging.
And how long does that
lowering.
acceptance last, though, in that regard? So
Right, because we don't want to. Are we making decisions from fear or love?
Yeah.
So
I get chills because I'm like, I know this can be entwined and
crazy.
yes, we are going to need to find out. We're going to have to do our best to get updates
Yes.
from all the couples because I want to know how everybody's doing, what's going on, updates on how they're feeling. Like you said, how long does it last? I mean, we need to know. So if anyone is tuning in, you know, hit us up so we can interview you, talk to you. We want to know where you are now. But it was so fun talking about Cindy and Troy. It was so real. Definitely living on 2 sides of the coin here. We get Cindy, we get Troy, but my goodness, like this was, I would say, the most heart-wrenching story for me personally while watching, especially I think because of their age and the bond that they did share. So
I think also the strong role that each of them played in that process. Because again, in the other couples, we saw it when it was already like hormones, everything was already going. This one was the before. So we saw the fight just to get to that initial beginning of it.
yes, well, this was so great chatting with us. So we love the Cindy and Troy. So let's jump into our special segment. We do something here called Found in Transition, where we kind of discuss, yes, there was a lost in transition and everything that happened, but we have to acknowledge maybe what was also found. And I guess I would say for this, both sides, Cindy and Troy. For Troy, I would say, bless his heart, her heart. I'm glad that he found himself in getting lost in the transition of this. So I think that's very important at the end of the day. No, I really hate what happened to Cindy. I hate it. But being found, I'm glad that he found that part of himself and the courage to live through it day by day, step by step. And I would say for Cindy, talking about the relationship being like a little death, rebirth does come after that. So I hope she seems plenty spicy. She's not done. And I really hope that she found beautiful pieces of herself in the relationship and coming out on the other side of it that hopefully leads to something beautiful for her.
Yeah. I'll say my found in transition actually had to do with Troy finding Lucy. I think it took him a long time, a couple of makeovers, a couple of wigs, a couple of costume changes, if you will, and you could tell the first makeover didn't do it for him. I mean, it was really, I think it was frightening for him to see him as a woman for the first time, and he knew straight out the gate that the woman that he saw the very first time that he looked in the mirror was not Lucy. And I love that as he was going through this process, that he took the time to find Lucy, that he took the time to find the thing that made her and that made him feel most like her. So I thought that was really kind of a beautiful process to watch, the journey, the evolution of how Lucy arrived. The Lucy that was on the last episode.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. My moments are kind of similar to both the ones that you both said, but also just that Cindy truly discovering how strong she is. 'Cause I believe it was she came from a really rough marriage before this, and then so it's kind of been a bit of a rocky road for her. And of course, this doesn't make things easier by any means, but I think she really did see that she is strong. And I know that she at one point mentioned that Troy being her gift from God. But I think, and that's why it was so hard in the whole mourning process, but I think that hopefully she seems to at least really realize just how strong she is and that internal strength that she has. So at least I hope that she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, overcoming is part of the process. Well, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to be talking about Jennifer and Larry, a.k.a. Lauren, Jennifer and Lauren, next week. So we sure hope you guys tune in. Lost in Transition from TLC on AfterBuzz. Thank you so much for watching. I am Jaimi Alexander, and you can find me on Instagram at Jaimi Alexander.
I'm Laura L. Thomas. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Laura Thomas Son.
And I'm Ashley Lauren. You can find me at Kinda Kind with Ashley Lauren.
Yay.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.